The Brandon Peters Show may contain explicit language and detailed plot points. For more information on the show, stay tuned to the end of the episode. And now, here's Brandon.
Welcome back to Old Space Show. I am Brandon, and this is my companion, Steven Schapansky.
Hello there.
Hello there. This series of Old Space Show follows the intergalactic swashbuckling escape antics of Raj Blake and his ruffian crew in the first season of Blake's 7. Today, we're discussing the 4th episode, Time Squad.
On their way to attack the Federation communications complex on the planet Saurian Major, Blake answers the distress call of a mysterious projectile drifting in space and takes it on board the Liberator. Can his crew simultaneously blow up the Federation's nervous system and face the consequences of returning bodies frozen in time to life?
All right, this one is directed by Pennant Roberts. Written by Terry Nation. That's the credit. As we say every time.
Yep.
That's what it's credited. The cast of this episode, Gareth Thomas, Sally, Little Red Navette. I was gonna, Yep.
Good work. I know. You've been working on it.
I've been practicing. Steve and I had a rehearsal. It's good. Paul Darrow, Jan Chappell, Michael Keating, David Jackson, and the voice of Peter Tuddenham. Tuddenham as Zen. And here we are in this episode that, Stephen, I feel it seems like 2 story ideas got smashed into one.
This is it reminds there's we get Callie at the end of this, spoiler alert. We finally have our 7. They even say, I think we could probably do 7 to run this. Well, with 6, you're missing Zed. I think, okay, thanks, there we go, we got the reason for the name of the show at the end of it. But I almost feel like already they're kind of spinning their wheels a little bit. I don't know, this one feels very much like, well, let's just get the 7th in here, and maybe we'll try to sort of bridge it around attacking some communications depot, and we need something to happen on the Liberator. So I guess some Time Squad, which I guess is the name of the title. The title significance is that they're the squad from time because they're frozen in time. I don't know, but they're all just like, they're all extras that nobody speaks. They're all just they become like rampaging monsters for some reason.
You want to be on TV this week? Let's put some crap on your face.
Exactly. That attack Jedi and Gan, and it's just like it does feel like an exercise of we need to get the 7th person in. We don't quite know how to do it because Callie shows up halfway through the episode. It's not like she's even a part of it up until then. It's a weirdly paced episode. This one, I thought.
Yeah, with the ship, I stopped for a moment. I said, it's the old "we found a ship adrift in space full of bodies in cryogenic sleep" episode.
Yep, so, that old chestnut. Yep,
that old sci-fi trope. But that's where we're at with this. They we got to have something for the people on the ship to do. We have to figure a way to work in a new character. And this is our first real rock quarry episode.
I think
I know Cygnus Alpha.
Yeah,
really dark though.
That's true. Daylight quarries are different than nighttime quarries.
Yeah,
indeed.
I was like Cygnus Alpha. It was not paved road or grass, but this truly felt like the traditional sci-fi rock quarry. Type of, and they put a red filter over everything to make it feel like a different planet.
Yeah, basically Gallifrey from the Invasion of Time did the same filter. Yes. Shot around the same time as I recall too.
Oh my gosh, yes, it's true. So Yeah, this one, we learn more about. We do get some character development here while we were entering a new one. We get stuff about Gan, how because he has this confessional with Jeddah. Because Gan and Jeddah get left on the ship.
Yeah.
And, she's flashing her newest sci-fi wear.
We'll get used to that over the next couple seasons, but yes.
Yeah, she's celebrating her newest 80s or late 70s, early 80s sci-fi wear.
Yeah.
But he apparently was put into jail because some, a Federation security guard killed his woman.
I love that. It's like Gan is suddenly like some old blues guy to go, he killed my woman. It's just like, all right, this is what wonderful dialogue that is. I'm not too sure, which is funny because in this one, I think I've praised Chris Boucher before for his script editing, inserting little bits of humor and lines and great lines and stuff. And I didn't feel like there was much in the first 3 episodes, but this one is great because you could tell he's in there because everyone's sort of like the very beginning of the episode.
Oh yeah.
Everyone's going, oh, we make a pretty good team. And then, everyone's like real gung ho. And then the brilliant cynicism of Avon coming, well, hooray for us.
That was, I got a cackle out of me.
And I sense Chris Boucher all the way. And then Gan at some later on in the scene goes to Jenna. There's no way that the Federation can catch up. And Avon again goes, well, Blake will find a way, I'm sure, or something like that. Like just the bite from Avon, courtesy, I think, of Chris Boucher, really starts to come through. Obviously, I don't think Chris Boucher would have had a line, well, he killed my woman. That doesn't feel like it comes from his pen, but there are other good lines in the episode.
Yeah, Chris Boucher's like speaking to us through Avon through this. That's where it comes through, and that's Paul Darrow, easy scene stealer. Like he's almost villain like, but he's kind of funny. Yeah, and he's one of our team here. He's got the heart of gold, with everything. But so again, he also he mentions he has something implanted in him that he can't kill people now. Yeah,
the limiter or something, which makes him pull a funny face whenever he thinks about things that are violent.
Yes. And Jenna's got nothing to say there, but her show off her amazing space boots that they have in this week.
Great outfit. Probably my favorite season 1 outfit.
Purple
Jenna,
pants. Good, she's the fashionista of the Blake 7 crew. Mm-hmm. The smuggler fashion. Because that's her role, right? She was the smuggler.
Yep.
So, definitely kind of funny. But while all this is going on, that there's a ship brought on board, which Jenna and Blake have to transport onto, where these bodies we've been talking about come from, and we find out that the transporter can't just transport you like in the middle of a solid object or something, because they transport in cramped into a small place. So they go in standing straight and they're cramped in. So we learned something about the transport, that it'll fit you into wherever you're trying to go.
Yeah, I know. How awkward is that? It's like how would that feel in transport? Like, oh, geez, what am I bending over? Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, they bring the bodies over, which we had, early days of Old Space Show, we had this episode of the cryogenic body. It had Christopher Lee in it, and they got up and did a lot more than these people. But it's like generic sci-fi A plot and B plot almost kind of put together.
Yeah.
In this thing, because the rock quarry story is just pretty much is Callie, where she's an empath, and
just Callie, empath,
and she holds Blake up, and then he turns the table on her, and it's Avon, Villa, and Blake who go down because they're gonna destroy communications thing or something. What was their mission down there?
Destroying some some random communication thing,
which will be the plot of another episode down the road too. But and we get some more of Villa in action. We get to see him, his lock picking skills as he opens the safe down on that planet. But this is them integrating Callie, who's of the last of her people, into like a failure to them with her mission. which is how she said she has nowhere else to go but
Mm-hmm.
the Liberator and crew, because she can't go back to her people.
No, it's kind of like how Doctor Who picks up companions. It's like, you know, you're stranded on this planet. You have no family. So what are your options? Starvation or come with us? And so, well, I guess we're part of the crew now, and that's pretty much how she comes along. So, you know, good for her.
Yeah. So, yep. A new member of the gang, and you know, they bring her on, and there's a like the so the end of this is kind of silly how they put together this speech of there should have been a lesson we all learned from, or there should have been a lesson we all learned from this somewhere, like that. Is that like, that's got to be Boucher having some commentary on this episode or something.
Maybe because it's funny. It was made second. This one. That's what feels weird to me about it.
Right.
Is that it feels like other episodes that came before it but were made after it felt a little more assured. This one is like, yeah, okay, we're out of the gate. Let's introduce our last cast member, and it does feel like they've kind of already sort of hit a wall creatively. Like, what is this show going to be about?
Yeah.
I almost feel like and we'll get to this in a couple weeks when we talk about episode 6, but it feels like we got to fight the Federation, I guess. And it just sort of seems like perfunctory. Like, well, let's just put random communications hub with random non-speaking extras. It seems to be the theme of the thing. There's literally no one else speaks in this episode apart from the regulars and the new regulars in terms of
right.
Callie.
Yeah.
So there's no real threat. There's no real threat from the weird guys who awake from from Frozen, and the guards in the outfits are basically just the same guards that we see in the opening title sequence, and they're featureless, they're characterless, and it just feels like they're fighting a faceless Federation at this point, and it doesn't really carry that much weight to it. And let's face it, it's the last time we see that, because the next time we see the Federation, it very much has a face, perhaps two different faces, and it becomes a much more focused, I think, interaction between them. But at this point, it's not quite there.
Yeah, I think like just casually watching it, that would have flown by. But when I'm doing it for a show to talk about and have notes, and that line comes up, I'm dying laughing. I'm like, yeah, what did we just? We brought a new character on, but what else did we do this week?
What else did we do? Nothing really.
We did, you know, it was a really funny fourth wall breaking almost line that I thought was like probably passed a lot of people by, but they also kind of like shoehorn in that the 7 of us can run the ship properly, and have to point out how they have 7 because of the title and because their original plan had different people.
Yeah.
And we're trying to squash it all together and include there's 6 of us, but
you're forgetting Zen. You're forgetting Zen.
Yes.
Yep.
Which is it's pretty funny.
Yeah, because he's probably the most important one. Let's face it, he's the one that's actually flying the ship.
Right.
So.
Yeah. And I'm just sitting here like, yeah, there's not much to talk about in this episode.
Not a lot.
Like,
not a lot. I think we've pretty much covered it. But we end it with Callie, who really, honestly, at the very beginning, isn't that much of a skilled warrior. She is overtaken pretty quickly by Blake. Hopefully, she'll redeem herself in future episodes.
All bark, no bite. Callie. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we get another female presence on the ship. That's something,
right?
So it's not all dudes, and the mandatory female lead in the cast. So it's a little bit more stuff to go around here. But yeah, this is kind of for 3 episodes that were building up to something, and this being probably the capper of building the team. It's a soft epilogue. I don't know.
It's more of an epilogue, isn't it? Like, oh yeah, we got to make 7. Well, there's 7. Let's go. Let's go.
Like, do you know much about like when these people were cast and like Well, you're not going to appear till our 4th production, but you're on the show. Like,
I don't. I'm curious why they shot this one second. Maybe it was because they're shooting outside more and thus wanted to take advantage of nicer weather before the winter came along. Maybe Jan Chappell as Callie was available here, but not available for the next 2 episodes after that when, she's not even in them. So maybe they could shoot those then. Maybe the scripts for this were ready before that's often a case of how TV works too. It's like, well, this script is ready. Let's go with this one because, we got shooting dates and actors are cast and locations are booked. And so, it's funny. Blake Seven inherited the production block of Dixon of Dock Green, which was a cop show which was canceled in like 1976 or something.
Okay.
And they inhabited the same production block and shooting schedule essentially. So, we have this sort of schedule. So we'll use that. Completely disregarding that a studio-bound police show set in a precinct but not featuring much action is not the same as a space opera, which is what they're shooting with Blake Seven. So I feel like sometimes the production is not at all suited. I think they made it in 6-episode blocks and then another 6-episode block, and then the 13th episode was its own. I think that's kind of how they made it. It was completely invariant to how they would probably shoot the show from scratch if they were able to plan that. So I think that first season is kind of constricted a little bit by that antiquated BBC production schedule, and I think things sort of take a different turn for future seasons. But this first one is like a little bit weird in that regard.
I have to wonder, was the bridge area of the Liberator, was that from scratch, like someone's imagination, or was that part of the police precinct refurbished into because I can see it.
Like Dixon of Dock Green goes disco for its last scene. It's like, maybe we'll just use that.
Well, just the levels of the spacing. I'm not so much the exact design, but the way it's leveled. Right. I'm like, I could see that being the lobby of a precinct or something.
I don't know if the sets ever came over. I know the studio space, but I mean, BBC Television Center has a lot of large studios, so I think that was pretty. But I think the location shooting might have been like, obviously I don't think Dixon of Dock Green was going into as many quarries as Blake Seven did, but I think maybe they inherited just the bookkeeping and everything. It was a weird crossover. Basically cramming this square of a Blake Seven production into the circle that was Dixon of Dock Green. It made for some weird. I mean, they coped with it pretty well, I thought, in that first season, but I think there was some strife behind the scenes.
Gotcha. Well, that's interesting. That's a more interesting factoid than we were given from the episode this week. So we'll go on that. That's why you're the expert. You're the expert. The Blake Seven expert. So, all right, Stephen. So please set our course again for Earth. But before we give it to the Federation, where can people keep up with you? Otherwise, your information.
You can find me on Twitter at Legopolis. Also, I'm on Radio Free Skaro and Lazy Doctor Who these days, and probably in 2023, the Memory Cheats as well. All these are Doctor Who podcasts that don't mention Blake Seven as much as we do here, which is why I like coming on the show, because I get to talk about Blake Seven.
Yes, I like to have Stephen. I like to take Stephen out of his element, let him talk about other things. So that's. So I got you here.
Like Doctor Who actors who appear in Blake Seven. That's
Doctor Who adjacent things. It's a Spinal Tap. So we've had, So Stephen's break. That's what it is. So for this one, hashtag Blake's 6 humanoids, 1 computer.
Yep.
And I'm on Twitter, Instagram at BrandedForKUHD. Written work on WhySoBlue.com. There's more from the Branded Peters Show. On Friday is the final capping of the bonus week of Summer of 82 at 40. So enjoy Press Maxon, who wrote the jingles for Summer of 82 at 40, and I discussing Olivia Newton-John's Physical Butt from Old Space.
If it takes all my life, I will destroy you, Blake. I will destroy you. I will destroy you.
Thank you for listening. The Brandon Peters Show is a Creative Zombie Studios production. Produced by Brad Shoemaker and Brandon Peters. Written and edited by Brandon Peters. Announcer vocals by Jessica Alsman. Theme song by Metavari. Web design and show art by Brad Shoemaker with Brandon Peters. All music and clips featured in the episode are property of their respective studios, and no infringement is intended. Additional information on this and other episodes at BrandonPetersShow.com. For any inquiries, press opportunities, or sponsorship, contact mail at BrandonPetersShow.com. The show is available on Apple Music, Spotify, or anywhere podcasts are found.